at 5:30.
It's actually 2 letters.
I think the Michigan Arizona game is
Good. Yeah, they just
considered to be the marquee.
Yeah, basically.
It's arguing with that.
Yeah.
I was like, so I could just another shot at Michigan. 5:09.
So that why they
This conference will now be recorded.
It takes a while to get out of there.
Yeah.
It's really, they were talking to the banks.
We only have 30.
actually see.
Attendance will be recorded by staff member Katie McShane, and a quorum is present, the 6 of us. Our first order of business is Commissioner Burke is attending via Zoom, so we need to vote to have Commissioner Burke attend and vote virtually due to purposes of employment. Do I have a motion? Second? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. And then we also would like to welcome our newest commissioner, Bruce Tompkins. He is from the city of Bloomington. So Bruce, do you want to introduce yourself a little bit to the commission?
Sure. I was born and raised in Bloomington, went to Bloomington High School and U of I. After U of I, moved out west and went to law school in Eugene at the University of Oregon. I never dreamed they'd be a Big Ten school, but things have changed. So I was in private practice out there for about 13 and a half years when we moved back and we took a job at the legal department of State Farm. So I practiced for 41 years total and decided that was enough and retired about 4 years ago. So I'm married to my wife, Carol. We've got a blended family, 5 kids, 7 grandkids. And, 5 of them are living in the area, so we're blessed with that. Looking forward to working with all of you and learning more about the planning process.
Welcome.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Great to have you. 3 new commissioners for a full commission. So we're now full. So great to have you, Bruce. So next, Ray, is there anyone from the public who wishes to address the commission?
No, we did not, or have not received any requests for so.
Okay. All right, moving on to the consent agenda. Does any commissioner wish to remove an item from the consent agenda for separate discussion? All right. Is there a motion to enact and adopt the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And Ruth, you're on, you're on mute, just so you know.
Aye.
I think that it was delayed, so I wanted to make sure that was not a nay. So with that, the motion carries. All right, so moving on. We have one item for the regular agenda. So this was part of our discussion last meeting where this was introduced. So we are looking at revising the public comment policy amendment for the McLean County Regional Planning Commission. This new red line version worked on by Raina staff was provided in the agenda packet. I noticed first off, carrying on from our discussion, at a high level addresses the extension of time period for public comment and individual speakers or speakers representing an organization, as we discussed, that there might be a potential need for that depending on business. It also removes the requirement that speakers register 24 hours ahead of time and providing their address. Before we move on, is there any, I guess first we'll start with Ray. Is there anything in terms of the red lines that you wanted to explain to the commission or any highlights?
Yeah, thank you. The draft proposal in front of you has been drafted by staff based on discussion of the meeting last time. And also this has been reviewed by the legal counsel. They're okay with it. And just want to mention that this is the proposed draft is in keeping with the county policy in terms of public comment, as well as it meets the Illinois Open Meetings Act. And so be happy to answer any questions. Attachment A is really the one that we're asking for your adoption, if so desired. Attachment B, the red line versions for reference. So it is attachment C, which is the sample sign-up sheet for the meeting.
Are there any questions or comments? I know I have a couple, but I'll defer to the rest of the commission first.
Can we, was there any decision made around whether we include section 4, the organization name, if someone's speaking of that organization?
Not sure, and we can check, if so decided, we can check with legal, but I was thinking in terms of address, because that identifies an individual with certain location, that's kind of no-no. So I don't really, for people representing the organization, I think they have to identify if they actually represent an organization. But if it's not spelled out, I don't think that's a big problem.
Well, it does say they have to be a representative of groups, so I
Right,
agree
right.
totally with you that if you're a representative group, you have to say what group you're representing.
Yeah, and then the chair would ask that individual to say come forward or speak, and then there will be the time to say the organization.
Do we want to capture that on the registration form? And Commissioner Wiley, do you know if it's something that you all do with the school board or?
We just give people 3 minutes. We don't give them organizations. But we've not had, it's been, well, how do I say this? When we've had public comment, it hasn't necessarily been from organizations. It could be from a group, but they're not necessarily incorporated as an organization. They're more individuals. And so we just give 3 minutes. But I'm okay with the 5 minutes for a group too.
If the commission so decide, I mean, definitely add that wording, maybe subject to council's consent or checking if we need to have the organization identified. Whatever. But I would agree that usually they will have to identify it. Otherwise, they will be limited to the 3 minutes. Right. They would not be given additional minutes.
And then Commissioner Burke, I saw you go off mute. Did you have anything?
Yeah, so I just want to say thank you for getting this work done. I think it's great that we are aligning with the county policies, and I think that will help our entire community. I had two questions, concerns. So I know that out where I live in rural Bloomington, that I have some neighbors that don't drive. And they don't use the internet. I've gone over to one neighbor's house to help her use the internet before. So I'm just wondering if we might also consider accessibility. I was made aware that, like, I know the city of Bloomington, they allow for virtual comments. I don't want to die on that hill, but that's just something we may want to think about. And then I had a question about where the sign-up sheet will be located, what consistent place. I know the government building has many different entities that meet in these rooms, and sometimes someone else's meeting is ending just a couple minutes before ours does. So will that sign-up sheet be posted outside or at the office?
If I may answer, it will be placed at the venue of the meeting, and so it won't be in our office. So depending on whether the meeting is held here, or sometimes for whatever reasons have to be relocated to a different place, and that's where the sign sheet will be.
Will that be
Okay.
inside, or is that going to be
It'll
outside?
be inside. It'll be inside, and so we'll be at a convenient place, for the public to see, and then we'll probably remind, because people would have to tell us in advance whether they plan to speak or not. So if we see people come in, that will remind them, even staff, even before the meeting starts. If we see some individuals coming in, we say, hey, have you signed up to speak? If you do, then please sign up. And also on that list, for the individuals who will sign up in advance, we'll put their names, according to the time, because they will be asked to address the commission or the committee in the order that we receive the request, and also for them to sign up. So we'll also look for that order.
I think that's fine, as long as people have the ability to get into the room 15 minutes before and sign up, and then maybe go get a drink of water, use the restroom, and then come back when the meeting starts. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
And so confirming, for understanding right, the plan would be, this would be in the room paper form would be
Yes, the sign.
the only way to sign up.
Yeah, only place, yeah.
Well, unless they put online 24 hours in advance.
So it is available online.
Yeah, because there's an actual language under item 2 by signing up in person at the meeting venue. So actually, we already kind of say that, because it's because if we put it outside, who knows? It depends on the location. If you have other people walking by and whatnot, and we usually have staff available.
Any other questions, comments? All right. So as a commission, we will now consider the revised McLean County Regional Planning Commission Public Comment Policy Amendment for adoption. Any additional discussion? Just one more chance. All right, is there a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Thank you. Okay, so now we move on to our regularly scheduled items for information and discussion. And we will go in order, kicking off with Ray and the housing coordinator position update.
Yeah, it's really quick. We've been so swamped, so we need more time to have the RFP completed, probably in a week or so. And then, yeah, once we write it out, then we can advertise it. Yeah, so, yeah, we sorry and apologize. Yeah, we just, yeah, things going on.
Does the state DCOE need to approve that once it's drafted?
No,
Any questions on housing coordinator? Alright, and then moving on, I saw Luke, I think. Housing initiatives update.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Before I give my updates, I just want to address the, last month, Commissioner Burke asked me a question about the white paper, specifically about how the census calculates median gross rent and whether they take into consideration housing, the type of housing units. So I looked at the census glossary, and they define gross rent as the amount of contract rent plus estimated average monthly cost of utilities if paid for by the renter. And if the unit is a renter occupied unit and the renter pays cash rent, then it is considered in the survey. The ACES does not have data on median gross rent by type of housing unit. So like whether it's single family, townhomes, duplex, but they do have, they have data on median gross rent by bedroom. So studio, 1 bed, all up to 5 or more bedrooms. So to answer your question, they kind of do, but not in the way that you're expecting, like in whatever format, like duplex, but through bedrooms. They do also have data on physical housing characteristics of occupied housing units, like 1 detached, 2 apartments, but not median gross rent by that variable. So I hope that answered your question. All right. Moving on to our regular scheduled programming. For local updates, we chaired the March Affordable and Supportive Housing, or ASH, meeting 2 weeks ago, where we presented the 2025 Area Median Income White Paper and highlights from the Housing Dashboard update. We posted the final version of the 2025 AMI White Paper on our website, so if you have the time, please check it out. And so I also have some highlights from the Housing Dashboard update. For total housing units, McLean County, in 2024, there were an estimated 75,305 total housing units, which is 185 more, or 0.2% higher from 2023 estimates. For median home value in the county for 2024 is $208,400, which is 5.1% higher than 2023 estimates. Rent burden, or those paying more than 30% of income on rent, among the renting population in McLean County, 34.9% of them experience rent burden. And then for rental vacancy rates, rental units that are unoccupied at a specific time, and a healthy market has an 8 to 10% vacancy rate.
Sorry, is Scott answering this one?
The what? Sorry.
Scott? What? Is he answering?
can somebody help her? Can you go?
No.
No, he's not.
Yeah.
Sorry. A healthy market has an 8 to 10% vacancy rate. The county has a 5.5% vacancy rate according to the 2024 estimates. So that's way below the healthy market rate. All right. For other updates, we attended the Housing Coalition and Unhoused Task Force meetings. Some updates from those meetings: according to the Salvation Army, about 25 people might return to the streets because their emergency winter shelter is shutting down for the season. And then the Eastview Christian Church is donating the community center and Main and MacArthur to Home Sweet Home Ministries. That community center has been used to provide shelter services, and now Home Sweet Home will be running that in the short term. I believe Home Sweet Home has plans for that. I'm not sure what they have in store for the future. This place will also be the venue of the Care Fair. Just a brief overview: Care Fair provides showers, health screenings, and meals to those who need it. And the spring Care Fair will be on May 21st at the Eastview Community Center. Then last, the Illinois Housing Development Authority, or IDA, is running their Illinois Housing Blueprint Survey right now. The goal of the survey is to help further understand the housing and development needs of the Illinois communities. And I think we can provide you a link of that survey after this meeting. Are you ready? All right.
Yeah, I can send it to the commission.
Those are the updates that I have.
Couple questions. I want to make sure, I was writing stuff down, so I want to make sure that I wrote it down right. You said total housing units, did you say 75,000?
Yes, 75,300.
Okay. And so you said rental healthy is 8 to 10, we have 5.4. Is that better or worse?
That means it's really tight, yeah.
Okay, I thought that was the case. Sometimes lower is better.
Yes, so we only have, among the total housing units, we only have 5.5% available.
So we need
Tight.
more rental units, basically.
Yes.
Which helps explain why some such a high percentage are rent burden.
Yes.
Because rents are high, because the market's high.
Another question on the dashboard, and it might not be fair to ask you this, but if you know the increase of 180 from the previous year, do you know what kind of housing that represents? Are those apartments, single family, multifamily? If you know.
Total housing units increase, or just, it's an aggregate of all total housing.
So, yeah, don't know by type.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions for Lou?
Thank you.
Thanks so much. All right, next up is Jen with the Human Services Transportation Plan updates.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Last month, we conducted the third of 4 quarterly meetings during the fiscal year, the current fiscal year. And attendance was primarily online because it was a bit of a cold day unusually. So a handful of people from Livingston County and right in Pontiac where the meeting was held. Topics addressed included transitioning to a single regional committee instead of the 2 we have maintained for many years, as laid out in our agreement with IDOT, and revisions to the bylaws to reflect that committee structure. We're still in the process of doing that revision so that we're sure that it explains exactly how we want this to operate and can convey that to the county officials and others who are part of that committee or will be part of that committee. Our staff continues to update procedures and materials. A special shout out to Thomas Valencia, who is maintaining our HSTP hub on our website and doing the mapping and rearranging and lots of other great things. So Thomas is very much tied these communities through our website. We're also engaging with committee members and county administrative staff in an effort to sort of carry through some of the conversations that we've had over the last couple of months and considering options for additional public outreach and identifying revisions needed in the plan itself to reflect the changes that have taken place. During the meeting, we were advised that Iroquois County was considering a transportation arrangement with Iroquois Memorial Hospital in terms of agencies providing rural transportation, and that would be an arrangement somehow not quite defined with futures connections, and that's a relatively new service as well. Today, I received an email from a county board member from Iroquois who was the one who told us about this. It turns out the talks with Iroquois Memorial have ended, and that Iroquois County will be relying on futures connections to provide their rural transit service as well. So after literally 9 months of trying to get all of this arranged and figure out who's serving where and one agency going under and others figuring that they were headed in that direction. Now, at the moment, assuming this information is confirmed, have 3 counties being served by futures connections, Livingston, Iroquois, Ford, and McLean being served by Connect Transit, Connect Go, and Kankakee being served by Showcase. It's nice to have that, so we can finish doing all the maps and proceed forward. And that's all I have.
Questions for Jennifer?
Jennifer, is the service is it actually up and functioning now in McLean County? Connect?
Yes, it is. It's been up and functioning since last July,
Okay.
but it's a slow process.
Yeah.
And this is a type of service that they're adjusting to because it's
Yeah.
in no way like the urban area fixed route service. So it's a different type of animal, basically. They are increasing their ridership numbers, and that's a good thing. We like to see that happen. And also, they've been spearheading a conversation among all the counties in the region, all 5 of them, about how to handle cases where people are going from county to county as part of a trip and how to handle that. Hasn't been nailed down yet, but they are in the process. I am involved in those conversations. So we hope to see a kind of, set policies to how that will happen. Having all of the providers cooperate in getting people across county lines to other destinations.
So we don't have big gaps.
Yeah, exactly.
Did Connect have to purchase additional equipment?
Not initially. They're getting buses from what had been the full Show Us fleet that was serving actually something like 8 counties at one point. So there have been transfers. That's also true for some of the other providers around the area. And they have always been in line for what we call 5310, which is to say mostly social service and small transit providers, vehicles funded by the Illinois Department of Transportation. And there should be, although it hasn't been announced yet, another round of those purchases. And I think they were using some of their mobility vehicles because part of the issue with rural service is that it pretty much has to be prepared for people with accessibility issues who need to be able to, be in a wheelchair or whatever. So those were an obvious mix into the system that Connect for years now has been trying to get people off of the mobility service and able to use the fixed route service. And then that means that the mobility service can provide some support for the rural service. Thank you.
Great. Up next with the Veterans Parkway Corridor Plan update.
Sure. The project steering committee met March 13th. It seems like today is April 1st. Okay, it was last month, a few weeks ago. So they looked at and discussed with the committee, the consultant discussed with the committee certain design alternatives, and then they narrow it down to a preferred option, and that will be further review and look at. And then next meeting is going to be on the 10th, next Friday, as a matter of fact. And so they will, study a little bit more on the preferred option. You're basically keeping Veterans Parkway alignment the same, but then they will be having narrower lanes. They'll be adding some turn lanes, and then shared paths on both sides, your pedestrians, cyclists, and then improvements to intersections for certain intersections and making sure it's safe for people to cross. There will be more details, but just in concept, that's kind of the option they're looking at. So they will drill into a little bit more on that, and so there will be some more discussion this upcoming meeting, April 10th.
Any questions for Ray about the Veteran Parkway study? Okay, and so next we have an update on the regional comprehensive plan, and I wanted to note that Commissioner Andy Burrow will serve as our liaison to the project steering committee that's in the process of being formed. I'm sure Ray will address the status of that. So I want to thank Commissioner Burrow. So she'll sort of be part of these monthly discussions and updates is the hope, and sort of bring us back to the commission, where the steering committee is on certain matters. So really appreciate her. I know she's not here right now, but and with that, I'll turn it over to Anthony and Ray.
Yeah, so they provide more detail, but this the time you've heard and seen all what we and you have done in terms of the strategic land use plan. So now we're back on track on the metropolitan regional or the regional comprehensive plan, and exciting details, and Anthony's going to share.
Yeah, so we, like McLean, have been coordinating all of the project steering committee members for this project. We have roughly 17, 20, right around there. The first meeting has been scheduled for April 14th at 4 o'clock at the Bloomington Public Library. We've got a lot to discuss at that first meeting. It's the big kickoff meeting, so it's probably going to be a little bit longer, a little bit content heavy. We've been doing a lot of background work At this point, we've got the website pretty much complete. I mean, there's a couple of final touches, but it's done. We just need to show it to the PSC for their approval and comment. The first survey that we're planning on putting out to collect the vision statement for the comprehensive plan, that's all done. And a lot of the promotional materials, flyers, logos, kind of the marketing aspects of the plan to get the word out. Those are all about 90% done. Realistically, we need to show the PSC, and after that, we should be good to go public. Kick it off and let everybody know, this is the plan process. This is what we're doing. This is when you can provide your input. So we're excited. But keep an eye out. Hopefully by the middle of April 14th is the first PSC. I'm hoping that week we can get some stuff online. That's all I got. Any questions?
Commissioner Burke has her hand raised virtually.
Thanks. So I just want to make sure I heard that right. So there's 17 to 20 people on the PSC?
Yeah, I think I have 17. We're still waiting on a response from one organization. So there might be 18. I think there's maybe a little bit of room, but that's more so Ray's prerogative.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the number, yes.
Okay. Yeah, I want it noted. I still have concerns about the size of that steering committee compared to the engagement, the quantity of people that we engaged in 2009 on that plan. And I'm going to continue to just nag, and you can tune me out if you want, but I just want to make sure that we are not repeating some of the systems and processes that caused challenges with the strategic land use plan. I had emailed Ray and last month, and he gave me some information about the makeup of the PSC. So I would like to see that list of people, and I would like it noted in the minutes that I think it is really important to engage regular citizens, like people who aren't necessarily involved with an organization. But I'm excited to see it's moving forward. And did the document that Anthony presented at the last meeting, did that get sent to county board members with confirmation of receipt?
It was sent to the county administrator, and she was asked to share with the county board members.
Did you receive confirmation that she received it and
I
forwarded
haven't
it? Or?
received confirmation, but I think she was out also for a few days.
Okay, yeah, if we could get some confirmation, just so we know everybody's on the same page, I think that would be a good way to move forward. Thank you.
I guess just for my clarification, you said you wanted to engage members of the public that aren't necessarily part of an organization. Are you meeting in the project steering committee or in like additional public outreach events? Because we'll be doing like 3 very specific, we want to hear from the public, engagement practices, surveys, website, all of that. Are you also suggesting to have members of the public on the project steering committee?
I think that would be a good idea.
Okay.
And even if we can think broadly about maybe even the types of organizations, like I know the Strong Towns group, like that would be a great pool of people who I think would be excited and willing to serve.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Could I follow up for just a minute? I'm sorry, you mentioned the concern about the way the process worked in 2009, and I'm not sure what you were referring to. So could you give me a little more background?
I don't have concerns about how the process went in 2009. There was over 200 people that were engaged to develop that plan. I don't know if you've read over it. I've read it front to back, and it is a beautiful, extremely thoughtful plan. So we have a really high standard to meet, and I think we should rise to that occasion.
I apologize. I thought I
You're good.
I must have misunderstood. I thought you said there was a challenge, or there could have been a challenge in terms of how things were done.
I was referring to some of the processes with the strategic land use plan that passed last year. Yeah, no, the 2009 plan, I would encourage everybody to take a look at it. It's really a beautiful strategic plan.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Anthony and Ray? Thank you. All right, and I think we have one final item. Jennifer, if you can let us fill us in on the Metropolitan Transportation Plan update.
Well, indeed. I'm going to pass around a map that is relevant to this plan because it helps define where the focus is. So this is our metropolitan planning area. It's a little hard to see. The blue stippled area is that planning area. So that's what we sort of encompass as a metropolitan planning agency. And we have begun the development of the Metropolitan Transportation Plan 2055, which will be completed, adopted, and turned over to the federal government by October of 2027. The scheduling on this and the extent of the plan horizon are a function of federal requirements. So we're out to 2055 because of how their calendar works rather than our preferences. It's a long span. It's a lot of information to try and project from here we are in 2026. So we will set about doing that. This plan is a requirement of our MPO role as defined by the federal government. And we work with both the Federal Highway Administration and the Federal Transit Administration on aspects of the plan because there are elements that each of those agencies requires. The metropolitan planning area, which is the map that just went around, is defined through the census and USDOT, and it's our focus for this plan as we are the Metropolitan Planning Organization. We will examine some transportation issues in rural McLean County. Obviously, the interstate system follows the paths out of the county, so that's part of it. And that will be an ongoing conversation as we move forward. As I mentioned, this has a horizon year of 2055. It's kind of an arcane federal highway restriction, and we're going to be looking pretty far into the future. Why are we doing this? Aside from the fact that we're required to do this, in the words of the Federal Transit Administration, the plan is to accomplish the objectives outlined by the MPO, obviously for transportation issues, the state and public transportation providers with respect to the development, and we would say sustainability, of the metropolitan area's transportation network. We must identify how the metropolitan area will manage and operate a multimodal transportation system, including transit, highway, bicycle, pedestrian, and accessible transportation, and anybody else who seems to wander into that mix. You never know what's out there in transportation. And to meet the region's economic, transportation, development, and sustainability goals, among others, for the 20-year planning period, and then for the period beyond that, we're going to be sort of, launching ideas into the dark, the distant, relatively distant future. I'm pleased to say that this is the 6th MTP, or Long Range Transportation Plan, I have carried out for the MPO here, and I suspect it will be my last, and this is going to be an interesting exercise because the world has changed a lot in the last 25 years. We know that too in doing the comprehensive plan that was last done for the county in 2009, on which I also worked. Ongoing activities currently for this plan include the collection and analysis of demographic, socioeconomic, and transportation system data to delineate current conditions in the transportation system, particularly in the urban area, mapping of components of the transportation system, so we have kind of a framework of visual reference for a current conditions report that's in progress now, and then a lot of staff discussion to consider outreach efforts, a public survey, formation of the project steering committee for this plan, and other tasks to be carried out. We're sort of putting together a to-do list month to month. And then finally, that preparation and revision of project phases and tasks that we kind of have it nailed down as to what our path forward is and which tasks are accomplishing what phase. So that's where we are right now. Once we get some of the initial data put together for our current conditions, and also a report from the expert we've engaged to do population projections for this time period, we'll have a good framework for that initial step, that current conditions report. And then we'll go on to focus groups and subject matter expert groups and others in various topics. Talk to them, talk to the public, do as much outreach as we can. We do have a survey put together that will be launched. We're trying to avoid confusion, so we'll launch that after the county comprehensive plan survey that was just discussed. But we're moving forward, and this is going to be interesting because so much has changed. Any questions?
When was the last one done again?
The last one of these, it was adopted in 2022. And it was a little difficult then, of course, because we were still dealing with COVID restrictions. So it's a slightly different animal than we've done in the past. But this too is going to be a slightly different animal because now we have access to the public, which was hard to do in 2022. And we also have a lot more data to work with. I should also mention, a lot of the focus in this plan is going to be on safety initiatives. We are building from our Go Safe action plan that was adopted late last September, I guess. And so that provides us a lot of information that, we essentially have already seen compiled about areas in the county where we need to focus, and especially in the urban area, where we need to focus our transportation planning efforts on safety for all, as the grant put it. And so that's going to be the backbone of this document as well. Anything else? Thanks.
Jennifer, do you want this one?
Can't hurt.
Anything else you wanted to address from your standpoint?
Don't have anything.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is there any other business to come before the commission? Afternoon. If there's no further business, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Motion passes. The April 1st, 2026 meeting of the MCRPC is adjourned at 4:41 p.m. Thank you for joining online.